Hello, beautiful friends. Happy full moon and lunar eclipse. It's all happening all at once. And so this is very exciting spring. As you know, the calendar that we have here in this world is not exactly a natural calendar, but to be attuned to the natural calendar is important. And so the natural calendar in this world, we could have the solar calendar. So a new day starts not at midnight, but with sunrise. And that could be different in different places. And then a new year starts when we have the spring equinox. Again, that would be different for the northern and southern hemisphere. And so it's good to have, we have 2 feet, 1 foot in the old world where things didn't really attune to nature, and 1 foot in the new world. And in the new world, we follow Mother Nature. So the more and more we attune our consciousness into the new world where all things follow nature, the more we are living through the consciousness of the new earth. And so, as you know from what we have shared here before, this big transformation that is happening on planet Earth is actually transformation of our consciousness to go from the normal, which was not natural, to the natural, and then supernatural. Of course, in the natural, we find the supernatural. It's pretty amazing. And so many of you around the world have been building spirals. On our way to Sedona, and for me, this really started in February. A lot of mystics who are seeing into the ethers, they say the big shift and new revelations came in February. And for me, this came when we were in the jungle and we were at the ancient site doing meditations. And suddenly it was as if the earth spoke and she said, please start building spirals. So you guys took it on, which I love. And suddenly all the seers are speaking about spirals, which is really, really exciting. So I love that you keep sending me all the videos and images of all the spirals, not only the spirals that you build, but also the spirals that are now visible in the atmosphere of the earth. The northern lights are showing spirals, and we have the comet that has a spiral shape on our way to Sedona. So we went to Sedona with a group of you. It was 24 of us. We went there to be part of the equinox harmonization. So as you know, harmonic convergence didn't only happen in 1987, but now it happens on this planet every time we have equinox and solstice. What happens around the Earth? I actually drew a picture last year. It's not a great picture, but I just want to show. So time actually moves around the Earth in a way that it creates a wrinkle. So it looks like an eye, but also it's a wrinkle. There is no real flow of time that would be natural. And so the time that we associate with the fifth dimension is like a flow of a beautiful river. But here around the earth, the dimension of time is actually caught. It's caught in that wrinkle of time. But what happens during these harmonic points, which is equinox and solstice, is that suddenly an opening happens around the earth and the time starts flowing in a natural way during these specific portals in time, really planetary time. So again, equinox and solstice. And we have a natural opening in the fabric of this reality, which allows us to have direct access to these higher dimensional energies. In a way, it causes a natural ascension opportunity, a natural opportunity to ascend through the body into higher consciousness. Now, that doesn't always mean that a person disappears from this dimension. It is possible to actually ascend through the body and yet to remain here, but to ascend with every cell to higher dimensional consciousness. So this again is going to happen to all of us. But in for our ancient civilizations, they knew about these opportunities, and so that's why they built all the structure, all the temples to actually align with these portals of equinox and solstice. Beautiful, beautiful spirals. Oh my goodness, here in the chat. I love it. And so our purpose was to gather in the city of light, which is Sedona, which also is a portal to the new earth, and to be there and build spirals. And so we built spirals. We always found a beautiful mesa. And so every mesa that we went to, we left a beautiful spiral behind. This, of course, again, when you listen, for example, to the daily news on YouTube with Paul White Gold Eagle, which is such a wonderful summary of what all the seers are seeing. So then you will hear quite a bit of speaking about the spiral and what it really is. Now, what is the spiral and why is the earth asking us to build spirals? On our way to Sedona, so we went for the equinox, which was on the 19th. So we left on the 17th of March. So I like to meditate on the plane. Sometimes it allows you to go into very deep states of consciousness. And one of the things, right, you cannot move. So you are sitting in a little seat. And as you are squeezed in, it's a perfect posture for meditation, not getting too comfortable, but keeping your spine upright. And so I was doing meditations. And then when the third eye opened, two incredible things happened. One of them was the second visitation, and really the first visitation, but I'll explain that, of the baby Krishna. The daily news, it's on YouTube, Paul White Gold Eagle. He reads from all the different posts from Facebook that, the seers make. And so he reads it every day. It's a dedication to produce a video every day. And so it's a great way to see what the seers and the mystics are seeing. So as I was sitting in my seat meditating, suddenly when the third eye opened, and I want to explain what it really means when the third eye opens. When the third eye opens, you do not get a glimpse of something, and it's not like a random vision that comes and goes, but you actually are able to see, watch, and study. And so suddenly, from the back of the seat that was in front of me, the baby Krishna appeared. And the baby was just really looking, just looking at me. And I was really puzzled because, the first time I saw the baby Krishna was out of body. And that was an out of body experience in February. And so this time the baby looked older. And I was just laughing about it, how time, behaves so differently in these higher realms. So to report on the baby that, again, other people have seen, the baby now has hair, and it's dark, black, wavy hair, and the baby is wearing a crown, and very similar to what you see here. So what does it all mean for our world? To me, this is the second coming of Christ that Yogananda spoke about in his book, titled exactly the same way, The Second Coming of Christ. And so it's important to go back to these ancient texts left behind by someone like Yogananda. And so what does it mean for this world? What does it mean for the cosmos when there is a new, what is it? It's a Christed being, Krishna meaning Christ. And so this being now maybe appears to many around the world. And, some people say the baby will be born here on this planet. I don't have that information myself, but if I know, I will tell you. But just the fact that the baby now comes and visits, and that it's not something personal, to me, that's something very, very collective and absolutely important and essential. When a being of this high caliber can actually be born in a world, they bring with them an incredible vibration that the entire planet would feel. This is just, how it is. When we have these incredible beings embodied in this physical reality, the whole world has the vibration of that which is the most powerful. And the most powerful is this divine vibration. So that would be very, very cool if this baby got incarnated here on planet Earth, of course. I cannot even tell if the baby is a girl or a boy. It still looks like it could be both. And so again, we'll keep looking into the ethers and report on what that would actually mean. So this is so funny because the song, I just randomly chose the song, but then it was about one God, and that was the other thing that appeared. So the next thing, I was blown away by seeing baby Krishna on a Southwest flight. Out of all the flights you could be on, it was Southwest. And so the next thing that appeared was what we know as Hunapku. Now, this is the Mayan symbol for Hunapku, for one god. The thing is that that's exactly what I saw. And I was able to, like, again, watch it and study it, thinking, oh my goodness, not only on the 17th of March, the one god as the center of all things became visible, which I think is due to the equinox, but also it's a spiral. And so once again, it's about spiraling of consciousness, the organization of the spiraling of consciousness. If you have Gaia TV, then you will find so many episodes now. I think it's called Spiritual Science. They have a new series, and it's all about the spiral. It's all about how organization of nature requires geometry, and how one of the main geometries within cosmos that organizes the flow of energy is actually a spiral. And so here's a little clip from a different show on Gaia. I think it's called something with time and space. It will show what it is called, where they also speak about the spiral. But this time they speak about the spiral as what we would call Divine Mother, the goddess Sophia. And this is really fascinating as well. Very often Divine Mother, right, she would take on different embodiments. We've had the Shakti, we have beautiful Sophia, but it's, you know, when we say a name like that, then we would often, right, as human beings think, okay, the body, the face, the arms, the legs, but actually you have to think in terms of cosmic creation. And so the spiraling out of consciousness, this beautiful goddess spiral that, for example, Cobra also speaks about. And I saw that Nova posted that Cobra will be doing meditation on the solar eclipse. We will do the same thing, and we will join, of course. So we will have a gathering on the solar eclipse on April 8th. So here's a little clip from Gaia about the goddess spiral.
The Gnostics revered a female deity by the name of Sophia. Sophia is a feminine goddess who the Gnostics believed began as an energetic field emerging from the center of the galaxy. This particular energy field carried within it all the vibrational qualities necessary for the manifestation of embodied consciousness. It was said that Sophia was of a certain quality of energy that serves the All. The All, with all capital letters, is the original primary unity. And the All with lowercase letters is the creation of the universe in which everything comes out as separate parts. It's the same relationship of one as unity and one as units. As units, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on into infinity. This is the infinity of the unit, and this is the absolute, undefiled, undivided integrity of the totality. Sophia serves the All by reflecting back to it the beauty of its own creation. This is counter to the Greek and Judeo-Christian beliefs that mankind is made in the image of God. Through the Sophian myth, mankind is made as the mirror of God. This seemingly subtle difference between the mirror and the reflected image within the mirror is philosophically rather significant. Sophia is conceptually reminiscent of the beautiful wisdom of the Puranas. Whether we know it or not, all things come into existence through that which precedes it. The wisdom of Sophia infers that the whole creation of the All would not have a manifest existence unless it was reflected. Sophia makes the great sacrifice of being a universal field of energy, and she descends into the cosmos to begin a transformation into the Earth. We are not talking about the Earth as a particular sphere in a particular place in the spiraling galaxy, but rather the place process that allows consciousness to become manifest as form. The purpose that the Gnostics give to our existence, our origins, is that we must perceive and conceive with great accuracy the nature and profound characteristics of the All. Sophia began her transformation in Gnostic mythology. As the story goes, Sophia has, within her, the ability to create life, which she does with such profusion and force that life and life forms literally pour out of her. The elders, who govern all the forces that come from the center of this galaxy, saw that Sophia was in crisis. So they sent a force which could bring order and limitation and a permanent basis for the organization of her outpouring. This form came as a spiral, such as we see when we look at the seed pattern in a sunflower or in a pine cone. These patterns are arranged in a very precise order. You see it in every seed spiral of a sunflower or a rose or a lotus. They have 14 circles. That order, as we will see later, repeats over and over and over again in the relationships of the golden mean. That force that they sent to rescue Sophia, bringing in this process of formal organization, is called the Christos. This is the source myth of the name of Christ, the epithet that was acquired by Christianity. At the same time, a movement of Christianity set out to proclaim Gnosticism as a heresy worthy of death.
So this clip comes from Structure of Space and Time. Very fabulous. Going back to Hunabku. So this was amazing. When you think about all that was said, it's all the things that we have practiced here and still keep practicing, and we will continue to practice, which is really that the spiral offers organization to the outpouring of Divine Mother. And that Divine Mother, as we know, she creates with such profusion. She's in all things, this cosmic mother in all of cosmos. And so these sacred geometry, such as the spiral, allow her to expand. To me, creation is all about expansion, of course, because we are on the outbreath of the divine. So the expansion is spiraling out from a center of all things. We have then smaller organizing bodies, such as the universe within cosmos, so multiverses, and within universes, we have galaxies. And within galaxies, we have solar systems. And so you see that all of it then is organized by the spiral. At the center is always a central sun, whether that sun is a small central sun, like in our case, our alpha and omega, or then we have the great central sun, and now even the grand sun available to us. And so the center of the spiral is a sun, from which then the consciousness expands through a spiral to expand creation. It's an ever widening spiral. Not only the spiral is what we would call two-dimensional, so kind of like flat surface, but it's also an ever expanding, rising spiral. Patricia Cota Robles calls this the spiral of evolution. Before we went to Sedona, I went to Los Angeles for a few days, and I meditated at the crypt of Yogananda. So the crypt of Yogananda is not in Encinitas, it is in Los Angeles, outside of LA, and it is where Yogananda's body is. Where do we have a nice picture of our beloved Yogananda? Such a cute picture here. So can you imagine Yogananda, he energized his physical body with divine consciousness twice a day. He never skipped a day. He always did energization exercise in the morning and then energization exercise in the evening, where he would be bringing cosmic life force of the divine into every cell of his body. Now, Yogananda, he was not just a teacher, not just a guru. Yes, we call him an avatar, but in a way, in India or in these traditions, they have two different types of saints. And one type of saints is the type that Yogananda was and that Jesus was. Same type of saint. It means one with God, completely one with. So I and my Father are one. And then the other type of saints are the saints who actually had personal contact or personal encounter with God. And so they are the God-knowing saints through personal contact and not through, learning and reading and stuff, but through really meditation and internal structure. But so when we go to Yogananda, we really go to an incredible saint, one with the Father. And so his body is placed into, they call it a crypt, and it's in a beautiful place called Forest Lawn. And you can meditate by the crypt. So it's indoors, and there was just one other person meditating. And you can sit on a bench and just face the crypt with his body and meditate. So you can imagine that since he fully transformed his body, in a way you would say that he ascended through the body but remained here in this world. So the body is emanating this pure divine light. Maybe you know the story when Yogananda left his body. Of course, he knew he was leaving. Then his body was not deteriorating with time. There was no signs of, decomposing, nothing. It was just completely intact because of the light that he was able to completely bring into every cell. And so I was asking Yogananda, I was asking him, what is unfolding here on this planet Earth? Because all his teachings, he left his body in 1952. Now, it's a completely different energy on this planet. And so I was asking him, what is available to us now? And then suddenly it was as if he initiated the spiral within my own body. And I started to spiral within my being. And so he explained to me that now the fastest, easiest way to connect with your divine self is through your own goddess, God spiral. And you can see it very similarly here, for example, where the spiral is ever widening. So we go from the point of contraction, which doesn't have to be suffering, but it is at the base of our spine. It is in our tailbone. So when we descend all the way down to form the body, mind, consciousness, which is really our lower human self. There's normally nothing wrong with the lower human self, except for when it completely takes over us. And when our being then shrinks through to that unconsciousness, to the limitation of the first 3 chakras. And so the lowest point in this descent, again, it's not like lowest as the worst, it simply is the lowest, as opposed to the highest, is the base of the spine. So if you take the spiral of evolution within your own being, maybe if you join me now to just close your eyes if you feel like it, and to connect with the base of the spine as the base of your spiral, and then start spiraling up and spiraling out, then you will feel after a while this movement within your own being. And this movement becomes very, very physical, really tangible. It's maybe first you imagine it, but eventually it really becomes it. And so my experience in the crypt next to Yogananda was actually feeling it. It was so unstoppable that after a while I asked him, what should I do with this? Like, do I stop it? Is this always going to be spiraling? And he said, just be. Okay. So sitting in meditation, just being the spiral. And so the spiral starts rising, and it rises not only through the spine, but it actually is ever widening. So it goes through the spine, but it goes also above, and it goes higher and higher and higher and higher. And so you become one with all that you truly are. Suddenly the spiral is also in the higher realms of your own being. And so now it is connecting you to that all that is. Yeah. And so it goes all the way to your pure source consciousness. And when you become one with all of that, you are really what we would call that saint who is one with all, one with that one God, one with source. Now, of course, that spiral then gets the other opportunity to also flow down and to start spiraling down from source into your being again. So you get two different movements of the spiral. One is clockwise and one is anti-clockwise. And so I offer my experience. My experience is that when the spiral is rising, it is rising clockwise. When the spiral's coming down from source, it is going in the opposite direction. But again, I don't want to claim that that's how it is for everyone, but that was my experience again and again and again. And so now when I go into meditation, you always want to meditate, right? Ideally upright, ideally, but also laying down is possible as long as you're laying straight back on your back and your spine is aligned. And then allowing the spiral to rise, but also to go all the way up and then to descend back down. All in a way, this is meeting the goddess spiral with the spiral of our source. So it's the divine feminine and divine masculine. Beautiful. It's wonderful. You know, we are here exploring this. So when you are then sitting in your meditation, allow the spiral to move through you, connecting you to source, plugging you into source. This can almost feel like the umbilical cord plugging you back into source. It's almost like having an electric vehicle, you know, like your Tesla, and you plug back in. We are plugged back in. The divine electricity now can charge us. And so, because it's divine electricity, it's also creating magnetism. And this is what the yogis always wanted to achieve. Maximum amount of divine electricity and divine magnetism. Electromagnetic field. Divine science also has a lot of elements of what we call today earthly science, but of course the earthly science is very limited. But the divine science is also now explaining to us what it means to be a sovereign being, what freedom really means. And so what freedom really means is when we embody these two flows of energy, our two spirals, to create a perfect electromagnetic field around us, which gives us freedom from the distorted vibrations that surround us. We can call it the matrix. I think everybody's seen the movie Matrix. So what does it mean to be in the matrix? It means that all the vibrations that we could call illusion that surround us are able to reach us. They are able to go within us, whether they go into our nervous system, our senses, our chakra system, our energy field, and then they feed us the illusion, and we would call it even reality. But when a human being is doing all these amazing practices, where they magnetize themselves and they create their own magnetic emanation, their own electromagnetic field, then they become free from the illusion. Only then can they be free from also the senses that might not be translating reality accurately. This is a very profound occurrence that happens on our spiritual path when we practice something like spiraling or when we practice meditation through the spine. Yeah. How to do that? Well, let us practice again, simply in our meditation, a few minutes a day, creating the spiral, or actually even better, inviting the spiral to move through you, to connect you to your own divine self, your own source self, and then bring down in the opposite direction the energy from source. It really works beautifully, bringing it all down. This is the spiral of the mother and the spiral of the father. So when we then have our own electromagnetic field, which always is the key for the mystic, to magnetize the spine so much that you become free, unplugged from the matrix, that you can actually So the way that I perceive my spiral, just to respond to the comment here in chat, when I have my spiral rising, I feel the spine actually moving clockwise up around my spine, above the head, all the way to my source self. And then when it comes back down, it's the opposite direction. So anti-clock. What is it? Is that the word anti-clockwise? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what Andy posted here in the chat also counterclockwise. Thank you. Counterclockwise. Thank you. So, we are beings that have 12 layers. You could say, right, that there are 12 dimensions within us. I often have a picture of how I experienced it as a tower. I don't know if I still have it here. But since we are beings of those, I don't have it here, of the 12 dimensions, one way to understand it is that we are the tree of life. And so, as the tree of life, we have 12 layers of our being. And so, when the spiral is moving up or down, it's moving through these 12 dimensions of our being. Of course, with the widest dimension being the most expanded consciousness, and then simply coming down to be in the most contracted state of being, which is really at the base of the spine, where we identify with the body. But all of it is right. If we want to disconnect from the roots of the tree will not thrive. And so we want to embody all of it at once, but not losing our consciousness, not losing our divine awareness of who we truly are all at once. So the tree of life within us does not disconnect from the roots. It says, yes, I have roots. Yes, I have a trunk, but yes, I also have a crown. And all of it has to work in oneness, all as one. So it's all very beautiful what's unfolding here. In the video that we listened to, we heard once again something that we worked here with, and that was the mirror effect of the world. That creation is reflected, and that all things come into existence through that which precedes it. All things come into existence through that which precedes it. And now it depends on how big the delay is. It could be millions of years, so we are still dealing with that which came before, meaning maybe a past life. But we are also maybe dealing in our daily experience with that which came before, meaning, maybe childhood, maybe past relationships, maybe decisions we made in the past. So all is eventually reflected back to us. So what does that mean? In the past, we were, trapped by so-called wheel of karma, which was not natural. It was what we would say the opposite of the spiral. There was nothing moving up into expansion. It was truly the hamster wheel, just going around in a circle, not going up at all, except for a little bit of death. We got a little break after we died. We went into the astral sphere, most of us, and then immediately coming back. So that's not much of an evolution. But now we no longer have this hamster wheel. The wheel of karma actually was disassembled, as far as I can tell, in 2020. But that's just my humble opinion from what I saw, that we are now in the spiral of evolution, every single one of us. So that means creation also works now differently here on planet Earth. And I mean creation, meaning our ability to create. This is the time to remember how to create, how to do it consciously, and that we are anyway creating in every single moment, whether we know it or not. And so we might as well know it, and we might as well learn how to do it well. So we are that generation that got to taste the old world, but also we getting a wonderful taste of the new world. And so how do we create in the new world? A creator being, which you are, is an artist. And I don't mean necessarily an artist who paints and sings songs and creates sculptures, but actually we are always creating. And ideally, we want to be creating an improvement of our past creation without judging our past creation. Our lives are our creations. If we start judging our own life or the creation of others, then we are trapped by the creation. And that's part of the illusion, actually. We want to look at it with divine awareness and always improve upon it, not by going to fix it, and not by the awareness of the flaw that might be visible to us. When we become one with the flaw, we also create more of the flaw. So, as you know, whatever we pay attention to is magnified. Whatever we pay attention to is also created, whether we like it or dislike it. So ideally, we want to remember how to really create. We are in a world of light and shadow. The world of light and shadow allows for creation to actually be manifested. We are in the world, as Yogananda said here. Sorry, I have to go back down. I should put Yogananda on top. But this shadow play is an illusion created by God, colossal entertainment for his children to enjoy. And so here we are. We are meant to be enjoying creation. So how do we enjoy it? When you think about, we talk about polarity and what is the difference between polarity as the emanation from source, from that one center point, as the two arms of the beautiful bird who needs two wings to fly. The bird needs the right and left wing, and yet the bird is centered in the center. And so we want to be like that too. The play of light and shadow was never meant to be the play of good and evil. The play of the divine feminine and masculine was actually fundamental to creation. So we speak of the divine feminine and the divine masculine as the forces of creation that allow creation to be birthed through these polarities, the polarity of the mother, the polarity of the father, and then the creative tension between them, the magnetic love between them. So we ended up in a world that ended up like this, with a bit of good and with a bit of evil, where the duality became a trap instead of a creative principle. So how did it become a trap? We first need to understand it so that actually we can move away from it. The undistorted duality would allow for something that we see within nature: a tall tree, a short tree, a small lake, a big lake, a slow river, a fast river. So you see, this all is natural polarity that, of course, is needed for creation. But we ended up in a made us so judgmental, didn't it? I like this, but I don't like that. If I don't like that, then surely I want more of the other thing. So we were constantly, what Divine Mother calls, swinging from the right to the left, from the left to the right. And so now is the time to restore our being to be the one with the center. And that is actually where Christ consciousness is to be found. When I started to get these revelations, it came through, of course, Yogananda, who assisted incredibly in understanding creation. When one day he, invited me to command the creator of all that is to reveal itself. And so when the creator revealed itself, I cannot even say himself, herself, it was more like seeing this structure. And I was told that these are the two trumpets of creation. The trumpet on the right, the trumpet on the left, and then they emanate creation. In the teachings of the Tao Te Ching, you would call it being and non-being. So the Tao Te Ching, to me, it's really worth studying all the time, going deeper and deeper into the teachings of the mother, the great mother, being the Tao. This ascension process is very much about the return of this ancient mother. This ancient mother, the flow, the river, the spiral, all that she is in all things. And so it's good to understand how to create. She wants us to create. She wants us to be co-creators with her. She doesn't want us to be lazy in our mind. Again, Yogananda said there is no excuse for those who do not use their mind to create. So, I think, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but this world, took away from us in a way that we stopped interacting with creation as master beings. And in a way, we did get lazy because we would wake up in the morning and we would see the past that already was reflected to us. And it seemed like our present, but it was just the reflection of our past. And we would look at it and say, here it is, that's my day. And then we would move through the day, often without creating the new consciously, seeing that we are only looking at the result of past. And that what we are seeing is only a reflection in the mirror of creation. And that what we see was always just caused by something in the past. And here it is today, but we should not be enslaved by it. We should not feel like we don't have power over it. And so, how to have a powerful mind is to look at what is, acknowledge it, unaffected by it as much as possible, of course, and see it as a sculpture that we created, which is called our life. So, if the sculpture is here in front of us, maybe it's beautiful, and maybe we would like to improve upon it. It is our life. It is the painting that we painted. It is the movie that we made. And so we look at it and we say, I see room for improvement. Because as creator beings, we don't ever cease to create. We continuously search from the deepest state of satisfaction for perfection, and then more perfection, and then more perfection. And this is in the entire cosmos. What could be the most perfect DNA that cosmos can actually give birth to? What could be the most perfect galaxy that universe could give birth to? What would be the most perfect organization of energy within universe and universes that could be birthed? And so that's how creation works. In a way, you would say it's perpetual improvement and it's perpetual experimentation with what is the next best. And so when we look at our lives, it's exactly the same. It is like nature, and that is the spiral of evolution. As long as evolution is happening, It is happening because of the creative outpouring of Sophia. It is the same within us. We see maybe our lives as an imperfect painting, but that's okay. It's just a painting, and we call it our life. And so, what is it that I want to paint today? Can it be completely different from what I painted yesterday? Why not? If we have a strong higher mind, which is able to focus and to come up with the new, which is again, diminished in many of us. Because what happened, we got so hypnotized by what is that we stopped fully functioning at the level of the new creative inspiration, which means we would look at the life that we created and we would somehow feel maybe even limited by it, maybe even defined by it. And yet it's just a piece of art that we created in the past. So how do we wake up in the morning completely free from the influence of yesterday? And that's the new here, right? So when we are working on the creation of this life, this experience, can we in the morning wake up completely empty? And this is where silent meditation comes in, which allows us to take a break from thought. We have two types of thought. Two types. One thought is the thought about what is. I like it. I don't like it. I prefer this. I actually prefer that. I'm trying to create conditions. I don't like the other conditions. I so much want the other conditions. So this is one type of thought. It is the thought about what is and what we want and don't want. And then there is the other type of thought, and that's called the creative thought, which comes from our divine self, and it is the architect. It is okay. So my experience in this world, I'd like to create it like this. And we come from the oneness of actually this symbol here. So instead of taking sides with what I want and what I don't want, we go into the center. Now, Divine Mother explained this to me the other day even a little more. So I'm going to share that. All of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this diagram here of the 12 aspects of divinity. So when you study each one of them deeply, all these contain pure divine perfection. They don't contain the opposite of the perfection. So let's say it's pure divine love, pure divine wisdom, pure divine health, pure divine abundance, pure divine power, and so on and so on. So there is no room for anything else within the pure divine quality of your own divine self. So this is you at your best. You contain 12 aspects of divinity in their pure, 100% undiluted form. So when we connect with these 100% pure aspects of your divinity, we connect with that which is in the center. In the center is the emanation of pure divinity without any polarity. So when we now want to create, let's say you want to create love in your life. Let's say, just an example. So we connect with all love and we become it 100%. Since we are cups, the holy grails, it matters whether we are filled to 98%, 99%, or 100%. And the difference is actually huge. Since everything has to be reflected back to us, then if I'm filled with 100%, I am all love beyond all conditions. This is really important. I am all love. I insist I am all love, 100%. And then when we look at the mirror of creation, the mirror of creation, mirror, mirror on the wall, has to show you 100% of love being reflected back to you. It gets even more powerful because Divine Mother is a magnifying mirror. You know, those mirrors that magnify, that is Divine Mother. So now when you look into the mirror of creation and you are all love, she will even add to it and magnify it and make it bigger than 100%. So the same with things like health, abundance, you know, the things that usually, you know, we ask for. In the past, we would say, I don't like having lack. I want to be abundant. I don't like being sick. I want to be healthy. Yogananda describes this in great detail in the second coming of Christ, that actually even asking for health when we are sick this way would not lead to freedom, but becoming one with divine health, one with the emerald aspect of divinity, becoming all health despite all conditions, becoming all divine abundance 100% despite all conditions, and then looking into the mirror from the center of our being. I believe the great quote from our Uncle Jesus, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, is what describes this state of centeredness, the state of being in the middle. Because then when you are the one in the middle path, the way, the Tao, is that you are never tempted by the right and left. The true meaning of temptation. You give no power to the conditions on the right and left. You are unaffected by all conditions that come from this broken duality, because they are what we call often illusion. So the conditions of, let's say, abundance, the condition of lack on the right and left no longer affect us because we know who we are in the center. And we know that in the center, I am all love. I am all light. I am all wisdom. I am all abundance. I am all health, and so on and so on. And because it's 100%, there is not even 1% within us that could contain information from the polarity of it. This will take us some time, of course, to practice, because of course we are emerging from a world that was completely caught up in this game of likes and dislikes, in this game of conditions that are pleasing and the conditions that we don't like and don't want. So now it's a really incredible time for us to practice the oneness, when we are one with the divine self. This is also the true meaning of the four corners within us. When we find the four corners within us, which is actually a structure of our sacred heart, then we are one with our divine self within through the portal of the sacred higher heart. This is pretty amazing. For example, this is our mission for the upcoming June solstice, which will peak on the 20th of June. And so for us in Northern Hemisphere, I don't know if it's the same day in Southern, if it ends up being exactly the same day, but it is for us the summer solstice and of course winter solstice in Southern Hemisphere. And so that will be our mission, to fully activate, open, and rediscover, regenerate, and renew this amazing sacred heart, and center our being in these four corners of the light body that also spins within us like a spiral, and that allows us to rise higher and higher. Isn't that amazing? So, just one example. Let's say, you know, typical example is health, right? And it's not an easy one because we often speak about the body as if the body was us. People say things like, I have, you know, this and that disease. Is it true though? Do I really? Or is it my body? So it's good to start making a little bit of like a breathing space between our consciousness of who I am and who the body is, acknowledging the body as a temple that our consciousness is expressing through in this world. Our consciousness is expressing its light through the body into this world. And so instead of saying, I have this and this condition, we can say, this body is experiencing this and that, even not having to give it a label. It just makes it easier. And so let's say the body is experiencing a condition, and we might not find that very pleasing. But if we try to create pleasing conditions, meaning pure health, by disliking the current condition, we cannot really create pure divine health. Instead, despite all that might be going on, we must find the center. One way to do it, for example, in the physical body is, of course, connecting with your third eye. It's one of the most powerful practices we have for being able to see into these higher realms of who we truly are. So learning, and we will practice that too, learning to truly connect the third eye to higher realms, gazing into the third eye every time you close your eyes, lifting your gaze, looking up into the middle point and breathing deeply. Connecting with the oneness of Christ consciousness, in which I am my divine self. I am my I am presence. I am that I am. And that's where it all happens. Then we move beyond the conditions. And from that, we connect with an aspect of the divine self, which is pure divine health. And it's beyond just the physicality, of course. And so we become it 100%. And we must insist, despite all circumstances, on who we truly are, and that we embody the divine quality. The same with all the other conditions, divine abundance, divine power, divine wisdom, divine love. I am all. I am all, meaning I am 100%. I am all love. And then allow the mirror to reflect it back. We are in a delayed reality, so there will be a delay. But the key is not to lose our balance, not to go again into this. And again, this is an adjustment in how we create. And so, yes, we are creating our rainbow body by actually experiencing the quickening of our own vibration at the cellular level. And so the rainbow body is something that becomes available to us through the quickening of even our cell vibration, cellular vibration. So that would be all for today on this auspicious day. And of course, because we have this huge, huge solar eclipse, which is super rare to have a full solar eclipse within just a few years, which we had in 2017 here on the West Coast, and now the East Coast in 2024, if you are in the US, of course. One thing I wanted to mention for all of you, we will gather, of course, it's going to be April 8th. And I just wanted to mention, one thing I always actually speak about, and that is that for me, the Divine Mother came for the first time in her physicality on the night of the solar eclipse in 2017. And so these portals within nature, within her nature, are incredible divine happenings. And so now again, on the 8th of April, another solar eclipse. And so to me, this is exciting. Do we have here anyone from Illinois? Because it seems like in Illinois, they get the blessing of the crossing of the eclipses, which means the eclipse from 2017 and then 2024, the cross across the United States meets in Illinois, in Southern Illinois. So that's pretty exciting. makes you wonder what's going on in Illinois. And so thank you so much for being here. And I will see you soon, hopefully on the 8th of April, and we will join these world meditations.